These are the men and women of Beaver Valley, the bravest of the brave. They fought fearlessly for their country, their city, their community, and for the ideals we share as Americans. They served proudly in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Here now are their stories, their own experiences in their own words, the words of the heroes of Beaver Valley. Midland native Jim McGeehan started working in the steel mills when he graduated high school. In 1969, he was drafted into the United States Army and got orders to serve in Vietnam.
No fear, because I was young and adventurous then, but so wow, what am I going to do? What it's going to be like, you know? And even though I seen all the news on TV and all the things that were happening over there, I'm thinking, what are they going to do with me? You know, well, I found out.
Upon McGeehan's arrival in country, he was put to work in the teletype crypto division, where he would learn to type secret messages.
Problem was, when I got to Vietnam, there were so many guys doing this. They stuck me in a specialty that I wasn't even trained for. And I always seen these helicopters flying overhead when I was over there. And I'm thinking, man, I want to be one of them.
It just so happened that the Army was in need of helicopter gunners. So McGeehan filled out the paperwork, was accepted, and trained for his new position. He moved to Ben Hoa Air Base and started flying missions over Vietnam and Cambodia with the 118th Assault Helicopter Company.
Oh, when I started flying, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I mean, it was Cambodia, Vietnam. It was, you didn't even know until the pilots told you we're across the border in Cambodia now. You didn't even know. All you seen was straw huts, rice paddies, people with water buffalo in them working their fields, their rice paddies, and I mean, it was just like going back in time.
McGeehan and his crew flew two types of missions: combat assault, where troops were flown in, and direct combat assault, where supplies were flown in.
Sometimes we had to fly dust off. Dust off is where somebody was shot, and you had to go in and get them out of there. And that was tough sometimes. Man was killed, and we had to put his body back on a helicopter and fly him back in. He stepped on a mine, and there was no body bags, so we had to get off the helicopter and put his remains on a helicopter. It was an American GI, and that stuck with me to this day. Yep.
Fortunately, McGeehan never had any close calls or fear that he was in direct danger while in Vietnam.
What we did was, when we go into an area that they're taking fire, we just opened up, and nothing came back at me, because you had 6, 7 helicopters in a row coming in with machine gun fire. That kind of stifled anybody that thought of shooting at us. I never had any fear of something happening to me, even though I know it could have. Good Lord up above was watching me, and I was there for the adventure, for seeing as much as I could, not being bored, traveling. You know, then, you know, when it come down to seeing some bad things, you know, it kind of like, wow, it really hardened you, and it made you grow up. But we met a lot of nice people. We landed in villages. We flew to Green Beret base camps, and we just met a lot of different people. You don't know whether they were trying to kill you at night or not, but during the day they were very nice too. And you've seen a lot of people's lives that were disrupted by the war over there too.
Through the years, McGeehan kept in touch with his fellow crew members, and this past year, 50 years after the war, they all returned to see how Vietnam had changed.
My other partner and his wife, we got on this bus, and they drove us to our hotel, and I was looking out the window of the bus, what it's like going through Hanoi, and I'd see modern road. I seen a lot of the land on each side of the road was used for farming. It was like you were out in the Midwest or somewhere. They didn't waste any land, and just modern buildings. And then we went through these streets, and then we came to our hotel. Man, oh man, it was first class. It was a 4-star hotel.
Vietnam had become modern, but still had many sites that McGeehan still recognized.
I knew it as a military zone 50 years ago. Nothing like that. You know, all I seen was helicopters, military planes, jeeps, sandbags, barbed wires, claymore mines, men in military uniforms carrying weapons, me flying up in the air. That's all changed in 50 years. No signs of military craft, hardware, anything like that. That's all in the museums, which we got to see later. You still had your rice paddies, you still had your water buffalo, but also you had high rises, nice buildings. But also the other side of the coin is you've seen a lot of posters, propaganda posters with Ho Chi Minh and the red flag with the yellow star. And again, I was in a communist country.
Despite some of the museums displaying what McGeehan felt was a sanitized version of the true military history of the Vietnam War, he had positive interactions with the Vietnamese people.
The Vietnamese were wonderful. You almost have a generation of people that don't know what war is. I mean, here us guys in our 60s, and you got young people there all over the street. They're happy. And so like I'd wear a shirt with a VFW or American flag or something, and they had some young people on the street, and they say, Americans? Yes, and they spoke English. Most people were bilingual. And how do you like our country, and how are you being treated? And we told them that we were former soldiers there, and they said, oh, that is good, the war's over. And they were just wonderful to us.